had the slowest, I was hitting it. You're kidding. Mine took a while to come on, but I'm showing you as on.
Well, mine says connected, so know that I am not. I'm here to my head.
Oh, this may be one of those nights where we have a quorum in the room and we can continue the meeting. Yeah. But we're waiting.
Recording in progress.
We're ready to go.
Where's Amherst Media?
They are ready to go.
Okay, got it. Okay. Good evening. It's June 16th. This is the general meeting, a regular meeting of the town council. And there's no other meetings tonight besides this one. Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2025 extended through June 30th, 2027, the ability of public bodies to meet in a fully remote or hybrid manner. This law allows us to continue holding meetings remotely without a quorum of the council physically present at a meeting location. This meeting is accessible in real time by Zoom, by phone, and as a live broadcast on Amherst Media Channel 9 and live stream. However, I want to point out there are 11 counselors in the town room in downtown Amherst tonight. Please be advised that this meeting is being held in person and that the remote access option is provided as a courtesy only. In the event of technology issues with a remote connection, the meeting will continue in person as scheduled, such that members of the public are encouraged to attend in the physical location. Given that we have a quorum of the council present, I'm calling the June 16th regular town council meeting to order at 6:31. I'll call upon each counselor by the name they have indicated they would like to be addressed. At that time, please unmute your mic and say present. This will indicate you can hear us and we can hear you. Please remember to mute your mic. Pat DeAngelis?
Present.
Anna Devlin Gauthier?
Present.
Counselor Ette?
Present.
Thank you. Lynn Griesmer is present. Counselor Haneke?
Present.
Bob Hegner?
Present.
Counselor Lord?
Present.
Pam Rooney?
Here.
Counselor Ryan?
Present.
Kathy Shane?
I'm here.
Several of us have not turned our videos on. We probably need to remember to do that. Andy Steinberg?
Present.
Jennifer Taub?
Here.
Counselor Walker? Don't see her yet. My video is now on.
It looks like our connection is a little slow. I'm gonna see what
Okay. Kathy is, I don't see you on my screen, but maybe it's because my screen's frozen.
I can see Kathy. I can see Anna.
Yeah. Showing you all is not there. I'm looking now. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, we're in the room and except for Bob Hegner at this point. And Bob, if you can always call in. There is no chat room for this meeting. If counselors have technical issues, please let Athena and me know. To make a comment, as always, ask a question, please raise your hand. There's no change in the order of the agenda. There is one general public comment period and one specific comment period regarding water and sewer rates during this regular meeting. Kathy, you have your hand up.
At least on my screen, multiple people are frozen, but when I look up on the video, they seem to be moving. Should I log out and come back in? that's
I think it's just
everybody,
I think it's just
ignore it?
Wi-Fi in the room right now. But
Yeah.
I'm confirming with Amherst Media that our live stream is okay, all right?
Thank you. The reality is that as long as there's a quorum of us in the room, we can hold the meeting regardless. Okay? I want to point out that we have our next council meeting on June 30th, and the next one after that is not until July 21st. CRC is scheduled to meet on June 26th and July 10th at 3 o'clock. Finance is scheduled to meet tomorrow at 2. GOL is scheduled to meet on June 17th, maybe? No. I'm sorry, on June 24th at 6:30, and TSO is scheduled to meet on Thursday, June 26th and July 3rd. We have the groundbreaking for the Jones Library on Wednesday at 10, and we have the Amherst Pride Parade and ceremony starting at noon and at the high school, and then processing to the town common, which is where the program will be held. And there is a reading of the Frederick Douglass speech on July 5th in the South Church in South Common. We're going to move on to general public comment. Anyone wishing to speak who is in the town room, if you had not signed up, please do so with Athena. Make sure that you sign up for either general public comment, or if you're here to comment on water and sewer rates, it's a different sign-up sheet. If you are in the audience at this time on Zoom and you would like to make general public comment, not specific to water and sewer, please raise your hand at this time. Athena, how many people have signed up?
10.
Okay, and we have,
Point of order, Councilor Walker has joined. Can we confirm that she can hear and be heard, please?
thank you. Councilor Walker, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Okay. I just want to point out, Councilor Walker, that we're having some technological slowdown, it seems, so just be patient, okay? There are 3 people on Zoom, and you said 10 people in town room? Okay. Anyone, public comments are on matters within the jurisdiction of the town council. Residents are welcome to express their views for up to 3 minutes. The council will not engage in a dialogue or comment on matters raised during general public comment. Public comment are not reflective of the opinions of the town council. Please note the clock. The First Amendment broadly protects individual rights to address the government, to speak, and to express themselves, including their rights to say hateful and offensive things. I am generally unable to shut those commenters down under the First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution unless their level of speech falls within an exception articulated by the courts, such as fighting words, true threats to a particular individual, harassment of a particular individual, or incitement of imminent lawlessness activity. If a question exists as to whether a particular speaker is engaging in unprotected speech, I must defer to the principles of the freedom of speech. We'll recognize speakers in the order in which they have signed up, and we will start with those people in the room.
Jane Lasky.
Please come
Want to
forward.
come together? So it's Jane Lasky, Robin Harris, and Joyce Duncan.
Okay, when you come forward, please, you're doing this as a group for 3 minutes total. Okay, fine. It's just not a sequential thing. We don't allow that, okay? So come on up here and please introduce yourselves and state where you live. In general, you don't have to give specific addresses. Please go ahead.
Hi, my name is Robin Harris, and I'm a resident of Amherst. Do you need anything else?
That's fine.
That's just it. So I'm happy to be here tonight and to be able to take place in a democratic process. So that feels wonderful. The thing that's bringing the three of us here tonight is concern for our immigrant neighbors and the recent detentions and possible deportations that have taken place actually in Amherst, around the U.S., and in Western Mass. So we can only anticipate that there'll be more of these given the current situation, and that's what brings us here tonight. So we've passed out something that I think that you guys have gotten called Practical Policing Suggestions for Curbing ICE Abuses in Amherst. Basically the things that are on there are all, we believe, within the legal purview of the police to do. So we're not looking at things that are outside of that. What we are looking for is to stick to our mandate as a sanctuary town, and to do that not only in action but in spirit. So given that there are three categories of things, and Joyce and Jane will speak more to those, I'm just introducing them. Those are the police bearing witness, which I think that's pretty obvious what it is on the face of it, and sometimes the police can't because they don't know what's happening. But whenever they know what's happening and whenever they can know what's happening, to bear witness, and that's important because then they can document it later. So that's category one. The other is the police being responsive in situations in which people are calling for help. And so the hope is to alert more community members that that's an okay thing to do. They're not going to be arrested. They can reach out to the local police. If there are suspicious characters, someone's trying to break in, someone's unidentified, and they're not sure of the situation, to get protection in those situations. That's number three. And the last one is that the police being able to bear witness also means that they can report these actions to LUCE, which will be talked about in a little bit, but that's an organization that can offer legal support to those people who are in need, and at the same time, it can offer to the traumatized families and the community social resources of various economic degrees of support. That's it for me.
My name is Jane Lasky. I'm also a resident of Amherst, and I follow up on what Robin was saying in terms of what we think is critical for us in documenting ICE's activity in Amherst and also offering support to impacted families. And for both of those, we want to stress the importance of this very valuable resource that we have right here in our community, which is LUCE, L-U-C-E, Immigrant Justice Network. They maintain a hotline every day from 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. And when they are called, they ask for details of suspected ICE activity that can be reported. And they have trained local volunteers that can be sent out quickly to verify what the situation really is. They also can offer a lot of ongoing support and assistance to impacted families. So we are asking that in some way the Amherst Police Department can have a policy of informing LUCE whenever they learn of suspected ICE activity in Amherst. If possible, also, it would be very helpful if the police would give a card with the hotline number for LUCE to impacted families. And the number for the hotline is 617-370-5023, which is on your handout, and we hope will be all over Amherst so that many people know what it is, because it's a very valuable resource to help the police and help us help people who are impacted by ICE raids and other activities.
So, my name is Joyce Duncan. I'm a resident of Amherst. So we're also requesting that the town council take action to ensure protection of the immigrants residing in our sanctuary community, protection from illegal ICE activity. that if a resident calls 911 or the police department to report possible ICE activity or a possible sudden illegal detention, that there be a swift response from the police department. Such possible reports might include intrusions onto private property by unidentifiable or unknown person, stakeouts, vehicles with improper or unidentifiable license plates, which could be verified by the police to see if they are legally and properly registered, people visibly carrying weapons, threats or attempts to break into a home or vehicle by any unknown or unidentifiable person who is not shown the Amherst resident or a visitor a federal warrant signed by a judge or magistrate, and the taking of a U.S. citizen by a person known to be from ICE because a person claiming to be from ICE is without legal authority to detain a U.S. citizen. So, thank you. We're very appreciative for your consideration of these requests, and we would very much welcome another meeting to further discuss these issues with you. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. We're going to go to Zoom. Ash Hartwell, please enter the room, state your name and where you live. You need to unmute, Ash.
Just unmute. Am I in the room, so to speak?
You're good.
Okay, good. I wanted to make a final kind of representation and plea for the council to consider seriously the effects that the current proposed budget would have on the future and status of CRES. We feel that CRES was a very important institutional step forward in dealing with racial justice and racial amity, and that it is, since its establishment, had a rough time in the sense that it really has been understaffed and under-supported. That's reflected in the fact that it only is able to function up to 4 p.m. in the Bang Center, which isn't very public actually, and that many of the potential calls and needs for its services would take place after that. It's also understaffed, and the fact is that the grant that it had to operate through its first startups is ending, and that means the end of a very key role of a person who was essentially the deputy head of CREST, that would be the implementation manager, who's now left, and there's no replacement for that. We see that this underfunding, this undersupport, is actually likely to wither any impact that CREST may have, which has already been compromised since its establishment, and that would drive a stake, as it were, into the town's values and commitments towards racial justice and racial equity. And it's something then, therefore, very serious, not only for Amherst, but more because many people looked in the state and even wider towards Amherst as taking an initiative in this area. And we feel quite strongly that it needs to be continued. Oh, excuse me, I didn't introduce myself as Ash Hartwell, now from South Hadley after 25 years in Amherst.
Thank you for joining us.
That's all. Thank you.
Okay. Athena, we're going to go back to the next person who signed up.
Marjorie Levinson.
Make sure the mic is on.
Yeah, I'm curious if I'm better standing up because I'm so short. Does it matter to you?
Sit down.
Easier. Hi, I'm Marge Levinson. I live at 326 North Pleasant Street.
We can hear you better if you sit down and speak to the mic. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Marge Levinson. I live at 326 North Pleasant Street in Amherst. Thank you. Oh, before I start, I want to thank the Chief of Police for his help this afternoon. I spoke to him at length, and he was extraordinarily helpful. So thank you to the chief. 2 weeks ago, I addressed the town council to direct the town manager's office and/or the police department to notify the loose hotline when they are aware of ICE activity in our town. I now understand the hesitation of our town manager and the police chief to notify a non-municipal entity. However, deep concerns exist among our residents regarding the safety of our immigrant community. I am now asking the town council to direct the office of the town manager to inform our community by text when they are aware of ICE activity in our town. We are living in a moment when timely information is essential. Misinformation or lack of information only leads to increased fear and tension. Thanks very much for your concern in this matter. I just want to make a quick comment here. In terms of using the text, I want to point out, I believe the town, when there are road closures or significant actions that have to go out to town members, we generally get a text. So that's why I cited using a text to provide that information to our community. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you for your comments. Going back to Zoom, Martha Hanner, please enter the room, state your name and where you live.
I'm Martha Hanner in District 5, and I wish to point out more about CRESS. If you vote to approve the town manager's budget tonight, you are voting to cut CRESS's staff by 1/3, severely restricting the department's ability to function effectively. This is not the commitment that you initially pledged, and it's not something that Amherst can be proud of. CRESS fulfills important needs in our community. There are many situations where armed police response is not appropriate. Yes, there have been challenges, but CRESS's influence is steadily growing, and many of us can attest to its positive impact. In relation to our immigrant community, we voice dismay about ICE and their tactics of fear. There are many residents, because of their fear of ICE, are fearful of any interaction with police. I think you can understand that. And so CRESS is a very viable alternative for them. And I believe it's important, if we're going to support our immigrant community, to support CRESS and make known that here are unarmed responders that can be called on to help in nonviolent situations. I sincerely hope that you will take this seriously and engage with us in constructive community-wide discussions in the coming months on how we can better support CRESS and address the needs of all parts of our community. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Back to the room.
Lauren Mills.
Hi, I'm Lauren Mills. I live in South Amherst. And I wanted to come in person because of the importance that I feel in speaking about CRESS and funding that is lacking. And I take my role as a parent very seriously, so I wanted to start by, I looked up the definition of parent because between the town council and the school committee, I watch both. Parent and caregiver is used interchangeably, but the definition for parent is to give birth or to bring forth. And so with the discussions of funding for CRESS and the discussions for discussions of the police department, I think it's important to realize the history of policing, which I'm sure you guys know, and the foundation of that, and also the foundation of CRESS and the commitment that the town made. And CRESS is important because of its unarmed and its trauma-informed care for community members and community safety. And I just wanted to give a little history of When I came to Amherst 9 years ago, I was unhoused. I had 3 children. So I do have lived experience to understand what population, one of the populations that CRESS is advocating for and is helping. So I think it's really important. So I would like to encourage council members who are empathetic to what CRESS's role is in the town to perhaps to also reiterate that it seems like CRESS is working with APD and they're working together. So I just would hope that in the future that there would not be this like pitting of resources. Lastly, I don't think we can escape the undercurrents of racism and anti-Blackness that are in a lot of spaces. And, oh, is that my time?
Yes, it is.
So I just wanted to end by saying that CRESS is essential, it's necessary, and it requires the community and the town to make equity actionable by funding CRESS.
Thank you for joining us, Lauren. Maria Kopecki, please enter the room and state your name and where you live.
Maria Kopicki, South Amherst. My comments tonight are primarily about the letter that you guys are proposing to send all of the finance committee to the school committee. It's pretty rich that you guys are sending yet another nastygram to the school committee to tell them how they should conduct their business. There's a lot of stuff in that letter that it is very much not in your lane. But from a purely financial point of view, this is the town council that failed miserably to do its job, to do due diligence and determine whether we have the money for this library project that you guys voted for. We do not. To study the impacts of this, the finance committee for months refused to meet and refused to talk about any of this. The town council refused to meet and refused to talk about it. Now that was in your lane. You're spending town money to do this. You don't do anything about that, and you let but you're going to tell the school committee how to spend a couple $100,000 and you're not going to fully fund CRESS. You guys got to get some perspective and stay in your lane and focus on the big picture and the big money here, guys. Come on. This is hypocrisy.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Shao. I live in Amherst, and I'm the chair of the Amherst School Committee. However, my comments tonight represent my own views and not the views of the committee. I see that you have a draft memo on your agenda tonight for the town council to vote on sending to the Amherst School Committee. It appears that you would like the Amherst School Committee to acknowledge that, assuming you vote to approve the $28.3 million budget line for fiscal 26 for the Amherst Elementary School District, that $28 million will be the base used for next year's budget line, and that $270,000 represents one-time funding that will not be included in the base. I'm using round numbers. I want to clarify that in my email to Ms. Sawatsky that was included in your packet, I indicated that the school committee can acknowledge receipt of information given to us by the town council. That is, if the town council tells the school committee, hey, this portion of the money we're giving you will be included in the base for next year's budget, but this other portion will not be, the school committee can say, yes, we acknowledge that you told us this. The fact is that the town council can do whatever say 29 million for the Amherst Elementary School District, you can tell us this is a 4% increase over 28 million, not a 3% increase over 28.3 million. It's just math. You can add and subtract and divide however you'd like. You don't need the school committee's permission or acknowledgement in order to do that. I know you know this. My sense, though, is that you want to minimize conflict or friction when it comes to the fiscal 27 budget. You want the school committee to fall in line and not ask for more than the town council wants to give. That is not something we can acknowledge or agree to. Again, I'm speaking for myself, not the full committee. When fiscal 27 planning comes around, which will begin soon, if the school district needs, say, $30 million in order to provide a basic education to our students, we're going to ask for $30 million. And it doesn't matter if that's a 7% increase over your base of 28 million or a 6% increase over the total 28.3 million. Again, it's just math. So I don't think this memo is going to accomplish what you want. You can't memo yourselves out of being in a situation next year where you may have to make a difficult decision. And lastly, the final paragraph of the memo contains content about the town council working with the school committee on consolidation and developing a strategic plan for the 6th grade move to the middle school, and about 6th graders having access to the middle school curriculum. This content is not relevant for the memo, and it is outside of the town council's jurisdiction, and thus not an appropriate topic for the town council to discuss and vote on. If you decide to move forward with the memo, I strongly urge you to omit those sentences. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. I thought there was one more person in Zoom and they have taken their hand down. Pat, you had, oh, there you are. Pat, please enter the room and unmute and state your name and where you live.
Good evening. Can people hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Pat Ananibako from District 2. First of all, I want to echo what everybody else has said regarding CRES. I don't need to lecture any of you about the value of CRES program because most of you would never understand because you're white. You will never understand what marginalized residents of Amherst go through. I am very upset, ashamed that at a time where immigrant community are very fearful, this is the time that our town manager is recommending freezing 2 positions for CRES that is already underfunded. To me, and to many folks that I've spoken with, the word freezing position means gradually dismantling CRES. I don't see any difference from this body and the town manager when I compare it to the Trump administration, what is happening on federal level. Yeah, people can go for a rally, we're supporting immigrants. No, this is your time to show your support for the immigrant community, for other marginalized people who do not trust the police department. This is the time. And I want to remind you all that CSWG, which I was a member, recommended 15 CRES responders, including the management. It was never fully funded. It was set up to fail. The police are controlling CRES. And I don't want to go even further. What I want to say tonight, if you vote for the town manager's budget proposal, I'm calling you a racist. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you for joining us.
Allegra Clark.
Allegra Clark, District 2. I'm going to read most of the resolution reaffirming the town
Town of Amherst's commitment to end structural racism and achieve racial equity for Black residents from December of 2020, and I would like you to reflect on how it stacks up to what we're doing to our schools and to the Crest Department right now. Whereas the Town of Amherst embraces its racial diversity and seeks to continue to implement policies and procedures that address racial equity and social justice consistent with the Town Council resolution in the aftermath of the murder of Mr. George Floyd, adopted on June 1, 2020, and whereas the Town of Amherst recognizes that there is an escalation of hatred, bigotry, and overt racism in our country, and whereas, while this resolution addresses anti-Black racism in particular, the Town of Amherst acknowledges that much more work is needed to address the impact of racism on other groups. And whereas, for the Town of Amherst to fully embrace the changes necessary to move our community forward, it is necessary to acknowledge and apologize for its own history of discrimination and racial injustice. And whereas, since its inception, the Town of Amherst has enacted, supported, and permitted official and unofficial policies and practices that have perpetuated the fallacy of white supremacy, that have caused serious harm to members of the Black community, and have fostered a persistent racial equity gap in the town. And I'm going to skip all of the specific examples, but they are included, dating back to 1641 and ending in 2019. Whereas in 2020, following the national outcry in response to the murder of George Floyd in Minneapolis, Minnesota, dozens of Amherst residents spoke at a town council meeting and shared deeply painful personal stories about racial discrimination in policing, and strongly urged the town to hear their concerns and bring about change. And whereas the Amherst Town Council acknowledges the trauma inflicted on Blacks by persistent white supremacist ideologies results in psychological harm affecting the educational, economic, health, and social outcomes, and conjures painful memories of our town's past, not only for those who have lived through these experiences, but also for the generations that have followed. And whereas the Town of Amherst acknowledges that this is a partial list which represents only a small sampling of Amherst's history of anti-Black racism, now therefore be it resolved that in accordance with the fundamental principles set forth in the Declaration of Independence, which asserts that all people are created equal and are endowed with the unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, the Amherst Town Council acknowledges the town's history of racially motivated policies and practices and apologizes for the damage this history has caused the town, particularly its Black residents. Be it further resolved, the Amherst Town Council hereby rejects prejudice and bigotry, including the idea that white people are inherently better or more worthy than any other group of people, and declares that it stands against white supremacy. Be it further resolved that the Amherst Town Council hereby condemns the actions, speech, and attitudes of those who promote hate or any efforts to interfere with the unalienable rights of any human being, and hereby declares that it reaffirms its commitment in collaboration with all residents to pursue policies and take action to ensure civil and human rights. And there are 4 more points that you won't let me read, but that is the beginning of the resolution.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Next.
Deborah Ferreira.
Hello, I'm Deborah Ferreira, District 2, and I just want to say that what we just read is what we should be doing as a town, and we're not doing. I'm a Black woman. I've had my oldest go through Amherst school system. I have my youngest who is in the Amherst school system, and I am afraid in this town. And you all should be taking action to make sure that people that look like me are not afraid in this town. But I'm going to read my statement. I am the co-chair for Community Safety and Social Justice Committee, CSSJC, and was one of the members of the Community Safety Working Group, CSWG. But these are my own words. As someone who helped create the recommendation for CREST and continues to monitor that CREST is successful, I implore you to not agree with the town manager or the finance committee's recommendation to freeze community responders for equity at safety and service, CREST positions. This is my 4th statement related to this issue. I sent an email to you, sent an email and made a public statement at the finance committee meeting, and sent an email to my district counselors. As well, CSSJC has tried to get on your agenda, Lynn, for months to talk about CREST and other issues of equity in this town and have been ignored.
Is this how you serve my tax dollars, by ignoring my appeals? I attended most of the Finance Committee meeting on May 15th, where it became abundantly clear from the dispatch supervisor's statements that calls that come into APD have not been dispatched to CREST. He stated that the procedures that CREST created in order for the calls to be dispatched to them have never been approved by the town, which means dispatch could not dispatch calls to CREST. This was supposed to happen back in March 2022 when CREST was first established. Why has this not happened? CREST is being severely underutilized and being penalized for not being able to carry out its full responsibilities and be an alternative to policing. Why is APD with 45 officers only having one position frozen, while CREST with five responders having two positions frozen, while the implementation manager position, which is the de facto like an assistant director position, being eliminated due to the grant funding ending? CREST will be severely understaffed if it does not have an assistant director and have the ability to hire the 3 other vacant responder positions. Therefore, CREST is in fact losing 3 positions. The town made a commitment to our residents when CREST was created back in 2021 to have an independent department in our town with unarmed responders to respond to all nonviolent calls as recommended by the CSWG. During this time when the Constitution is under attack, people's First Amendment rights are being violated, there are ICE raids happening in our town, people are being disappeared, and DI is under attack. CREST is needed more than ever to assist our most vulnerable populations in Amherst. If you accept the town manager's proposal and agree with the Finance Committee to freeze these positions as opposed to increasing CREST's budget to what it actually should be, you are sending a direct message to those who are marginalized and most vulnerable in our town that you do not care about serving our residents, which includes our BIPOC residents and our youth. Your decision is about whether you want our town to be inclusive or not. If you freeze these positions, I know where you stand. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. We're going to the next speaker. Thank you.
Vince O'Connor.
Anyone, Vincent O'Connor, 175 Summer Street, Apartment 12. Anyone who reads the weekly police report in the Amherst Bulletin can readily identify probably half of the incidents in the report that could have and should have been handled by someone other than armed police officers. And I think that's important because I'm here to advocate that the armed police officers deal with people who are also armed and engaged in criminal activity, which is the representatives of ICE. Why involve the local police in this activity? According to very serious immigration attorneys, local police, there's a separation between local police and ICE. Local police wear uniforms. They have badges. They drive marked cars, and they have video cams. If you'll read this thing that I'll distribute, this is not true of ICE at all. And we actually do need CREST to deal with things so that we can have our local police deal with people, armed people who are engaged in criminal activity, even though they may be federally funded. The local police not only wear ID, drive marked cars and so forth, they don't have daily arrest quotas. And some of them may have marched in Saturday's activities, in their civvies, of course. There is separation between local police and ICE, and we need, and this town needs to maintain that separation by directing the activities of the local police department to protect citizens who may be in the process of being victimized by these ICE operatives that, quite frankly, are out of control. So I urge you not only to support the CREST program and not to freeze the positions that the manager proposes that be freezed, but that you direct the police officers to do things which they are really capable of doing and which they legally are obliged to do. When people call 911, they need to be met with prompt response from the local police to curb ICE abuses. And the council, if the manager can't see his way to direct it, the council needs to adopt policies that direct the manager to do so.
Thank you for joining us. The next person in the town room, please.
Stephen Casey.
Vince, it's best if you give those to the clerk. She'll distribute them.
Vince.
Vince, please give those to the clerk. She will distribute them. Good evening. Please state your name and where you live.
Good evening. My name is Stephen Casey, and I am a resident of Amherst. I have the honor of being a candidate to join the town's planning board, and during this public comment, I wish to thank all of those involved. In particular, to the ones who developed the questions, thank you, as questions are quite important. To those who facilitated the meeting, well done. And to my fellow candidates, in you is a fine blend of experience and perspective. That you would choose to serve your community is truly inspiring. And in my opinion, inspiration is wholly representative of the Amherst community. No further comment.
Thank you for your comments. Next, please.
Erica Paidati. Please let me know if I'm mispronouncing that name. Piedad, thank you.
Take your time.
My name is Erica Piedad, and I've lived in Amherst since 1994. I've been a homeowner since 2009 in District 1. I have 2 kids who graduated from the Amherst High, and I recently retired from public health for the state, having served over 30 years. I've been a member of the Amherst Municipal Affordable Housing Trust 6 years, and now I'm a member of the the Community Safety and Social Justice Committee. I've been on there for 6 months. I'm here because I'm concerned how our taxpayers' money is being utilized. We talk about efficiency and effectiveness, yet at the same time, we're looking at freezing CRES's 2 position out of 8 positions. That's inequitable compared to 1 position of 45 sworn officers, or 47. It's unclear from the website if it's 45 or 47. It's not a competition, as someone said. CRES is part of public safety, as well as the Amherst Fire Department and the Board of Health. And we in Amherst should be investing in public safety as a comprehensive approach. CRES has proven its effectiveness, and by freezing these 2 positions, as well as knowing that the implementation manager is going to disappear, is really undermining the model that was proposed through a report which was funded by the town. And I'm sure you're very familiar with the report, November 2021 Amherst Community Responder Report. It was actually undertaken by the Law Enforcement Action Partnership. And I think that's really important because the way they describe themselves is that they're a nonprofit group of current and former police and prosecutors who seek to improve safety by transforming the justice system to address the root causes of crime, confront racial disparities, and restore community trust. That I think is really important in terms of this tiered model that is a comprehensive approach to public safety. CRESS is critical for that tiered model. They were asked to take a look at the structure. You want data? You want to look at the data in terms of the calls that APD gets that are not appropriate for APD, but are most appropriate for CRESS. It is in this report. You want to look at the model that they have proposed for CRESS in order for it to be functional and successful and efficient and effective. It is in this report. You want to look at protocols. They actually research protocols. There are public safety diversion programs in this country that has run over 10 years. I'm sorry if I'm boring anybody. Over 10 years in this country that have been very effective in creating community safety and a socially just response. As our public health system is based on a tier model, if you cut your finger, you're not going to the emergency room unless you cut your finger off. And this is a tier model that is efficient and effective, and it's efficient and effective use of our taxpayers' dollars. By us using, I'm just going to end with this. We wanted to meet with you guys so we could have a conversation about this. I am for APD. They have a role, but putting officers in a situation that makes it unsafe for them and unsafe for the community is not just, is not fair. CRESS is critical for our community. And one last statement, I believe it says that APD can continue recruiting. Maybe those positions need to go to CRESS. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
Deb Leonard.
Hi, my name is Deb Leonard. I live in District 5. I'm speaking on behalf of myself. In the Finance Committee report to the Town Council in today's packet, page 6, you state, the superintendent was unforthcoming on the potential budgetary savings for consolidated buildings. The fact that the superintendent did not provide a simple answer to a complex situation does not give you leave to throw shade. Your question involved providing a bottom line cost savings to the redistribution of 1,000 students and 300 staff and involves redistricting. The inconvenient truth is that DESE has made it clear that the town is expected to continue to maintain 3 distinct schools. These schools include 3 specialized education programs, the Academic Individualized Mainstream Support, also known as AIMS, the Intensive Learning Center, Building Blocks, a school-based therapeutics program, as well as 14 classes of our Spanish English dual language program. Students are not marbles that are distributed in boxes. The fact that some of you continue to compare the cost of our marbles to the cost of other towns' marbles is further evidence that your analyses are devoid of educational context, knowledge, and insight. The superintendent is the chief executive officer and preeminent educational advisor to the school committees. I find your written characterization of the superintendent, the overall manner in which you conducted your written queries prior to the financial committee meeting of May 8th, and the meeting itself as lacking the sort of courtesy that many of you expect and get frustrated about when the same is not extended to your own chief executive officer. If at all possible, please remove that statement from your report. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Next.
That was the last person on the register. Can we please take a 5-minute recess so that we can address this technological issue?
Yes.
Thank you.
We are in recess, during which time we will be trying to stabilize the Zoom presence for the council. Is there anything you need us to do, Athena?
You're going to lose your audio and video for a moment while we reboot our Wi-Fi router, and then it'll come back on, but we will maintain connectivity here.
Thank you. Athena, or is there a way we're supposed to test this?
We're working on it. It's coming back online now.
Thank you.
Turn your video on. Turn your video on. No. Yeah, Pat. Yeah, you're on, Pat. done the best we can do for now. Sean's still looking into it, so we should go ahead.
Thank you. Let me just ask so that other people can hear. If those of us that are in the room, if we drop off of our individual Zooms, but stay on the town total picture, will few of us being on Zoom help?
No, it's a Wi-Fi issue. I don't think it will make a difference if
Okay.
there are less people
All right.
connected.
We're gonna proceed with the meeting. We apologize for the technology, but the meeting is being recorded. Okay, we're moving on to the consent agenda. Items were chosen because they were considered to be routine. If after I read the motion, if you would like to remove an item, please let me know. That does not require a second. The motion is to move the following items in the printed motions thereunder and approve those items as a single unit. 6A to D, waiver of Town Council Rules of Procedure 8.6 for agenda items 6A to D, resolutions and proclamations. 6A, proclamation